Yes.
Okay, I see Sandy's here. Hi, Sandy. How are ya? Welcome to the Mexican Fiesta. Hola. Hi, Chris. Hola, everyone. Hola. So happy to see you all. Hello, Tatiana. Missed you this morning.
Yes, I couldn't make it. Sorry.
I understand. You have an ambitious get set up schedule, I know. I'm just glad you're here now.
Thank you.
We had fun in the meringue class. And we decided we are going to do something about pavlova later on. Pavlova. Have you made pavlova? Anybody? You know what pavlova is?
No.
Cool. Well, then all the more reason to come. I have a hint, though. It is made with meringue. And it's very interesting. I learned a lot. So I am just about set. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here in a minute. Is it spring where you are? It feels wonderful where I am today.
Where are you?
I'm in York, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. I'm in Charlotte. It's very nice. It's 83 degrees.
Oh, okay. Well, that's lovely. Yeah, this is a good day. After this class, when I'm finished for the day, I'm going outside just to enjoy this beautiful weather because it's been a long time coming. Hey, Alberta.
Hi, Deb.
So yes,
Can you
John.
please make me co-host?
Oh, I thought I had done that. I'm sorry. I was waiting to get host back, I guess. Give me a second. If I can get control of my cursor. There you go. Okay, sharing my screen now. Okay, can you see my screen? Flavors of Mexico?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. And again, hola to everyone. Let's say it. 1, 2, 3. Hola! Hola! Let's have a fiesta today. So is there anybody here who's new to coming to my classes? I recognize an awful lot of names. I know Kathy and Grisha and Gloria, I think, and there's Laverne, Sandy.
My first time.
Okay, well, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. There are a number of people who come to a lot of my classes who are here today, so I think you'll find us a very friendly group. We like to talk and share ideas, so you're invited to do the same. I am on the East Coast, as you heard me say, and my background's in psychology and in adult and organizational development. So I go from business and the corporate world to talking about cooking. And who knew that when I was at 62 years of age, I'd be teaching classes in my kitchen. And I can see that I need to tilt my screen here a little bit so you can see me better. Okay, so welcome. I am so glad you're here, Sandy, and welcome to all of you. And thank you to those of you who just keep coming back for more. Sandy, you're not new to Get Set Up, are you?
No, I've been to a number of other classes.
Okay, so you guys.
This is my first cooking related one, so I look forward to it.
Okay, all right. Well, you guys know the drill. You know how we learn best from each other, being on camera, participating, and just having free conversation. So I do welcome that. And also, John is here. John is monitoring the chat. So if you'd prefer to use that, that's fine. I've asked him to go ahead and interrupt me because I don't want to miss any questions or any important information that you share. Hi, Mary Lou. So that's important. You know that you can get the recording after class at helpitgetsetup.io. And if you are joining by live stream, hello to you out there that might be in live stream world. we are glad that you're here too, and hope that you'll go and register for a class so that you can be part of the group of people like this one that come to class and participate with questions and ideas, because we do all learn together. I just bring a piece of the puzzle. Lastly, Get Set Up is not paid to promote anything, neither am I. It would be really nice if a ninja foodie showed up on my doorstep, but that's not likely to happen, at least not a free one anyway. After class, I am going to send you an email. You know about those after class emails, and they're going to have the recipes that I share with you today for this Mexican fiesta. So I want you to know you don't have to scribble frantically to get any recipes down or even take pictures of the screen, because you'll get all of that. And in that class note, those class notes, you're also going to get an easy link if you want to email anything about this class to a friend. Hey, that was a pretty cool class and you might want to attend it. You can do it right from the email. You can give feedback about the class or anything about Get Set Up right from the email by clicking the Give Feedback button. You can also go and view the schedule or book into any other classes right from there as well. So we really want to make it easy for you when you're joining us. And when you do sign up for a class, you're able to also click and send an invitation to your friends via email, WhatsApp, or Facebook. And I say this all the time, it's fun to invite friends, have an online reunion with some folks you might not get to see all the time. And, I started to just throw out some classes you might like that are coming up in the next day. They're not cooking related, but they're just classes that might broaden your topical areas. One is on 10-minute table runners. And we have a marvelous craft person, an arts person who teaches that class. And I'm suggesting this one because she and I talked about also giving you some ideas about what a 10-minute table runner and a festive table might look like for a Mexican fiesta. So you can have the menu and you can have the look. So you might check that class out with Sarah. And then Ravina teaches us an awesome class that's relatively new on natural remedies. So that would be one that you might find interesting as well. I know a lot of you come to classes on healthy cooking, healthy eating. So that would be a nice mix. Today, I want to talk to you about some fun things you might not know about Mexican food. I was doing a little research to put this together because Cinco de Mayo is right around the corner. And I learned some very interesting things that I would like to share with you. I also want to share some Mexican terms with you. And how many of you have been to Mexico, have taken Spanish, or otherwise have a handle on some Mexican words and vocabulary? Okay, Alberta, which one of those? Been to Mexico, lived in?
I have no knowledge of Spanish, but I've been to Copper Canyon years ago. That was a wonderful trip, and really haven't spent much other time there, but I love the culture.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Anyone else? Spanish?
The only Mexican I know is to order off the menu, margarita, taco, burritos.
Yes. Well, that's a start. Yes, Laverne.
I know a couple of words, but what I do, I have an app on my phone, and I do have some friends that are Spanish, and so I don't talk to them very often. But what I do is I go on my app and I can talk to them, and I can also go on this app and change it over to like I can speak English, and then when I transfer it to them in a message, I can transfer it in Spanish.
That's great. What's the name of that app, Laverne?
Wait a minute. Let me see. It's just called Translate.
Translate. Okay.
And you can go in the Play Store and get it.
Okay. So on Google Play, and I bet they have something similar in the Apple App Store. So that would be fun to play around with. Yeah. Right. Interesting you say that. I have an ESL student who is learning English, and of course it's good for my Spanish too. But she's using some of those translators too. And she wrote an email to me the other day, and I said, "You're really writing well in English," and she said, "I'm using Translator." Instead, I'm learning. I'm really learning a lot. So it's a great way. It doesn't have to be a crutch. It's also a great learning tool. So yeah, so we'll learn a few Mexican or Spanish food terms, Mexican food terms, and then I have some recipes for you. And I might even, I was doing this before you came. I was starting to get ready to make a margarita here. Because, you know, it's like 3 o'clock here. We can soon start to have a margarita. So I might make one of those if I can get it all together. And I have another thing that I'm going to share with you off the menu today. So let me ask you this. What is your favorite Mexican food dish?
I like chimichangas. Chimichanga.
Fungas.
Fajitas,
Fajitas?
yes.
I think they're my favorite, Mary Lou, because they also seem at least a little bit healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
I don't have a favorite. I like Mexican food.
Like it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guacamole.
Guacamole. Yeah, I have a guacamole recipe for today. I don't want to brag, but my friends tell me that I make the best guacamole ever, but it's not my recipe. It's just one that I have found. And then I modify it a little bit to suit my taste, but it's one I'm going to share with you. And you may have your own. Do you have a favorite guacamole recipe you make at home?
I try different ones, you know, depending
Okay.
on how spirit moves me and what I have in the fridge type of thing.
Yes, exactly. So maybe when we look at the one that I have here, we can compare notes a little bit and make improvements to both of them.
Deb,
I found a super easy one. Just mash an avocado and mix in salsa, and there you are.
There you are. That's a great idea. Yeah, quick and easy. Oh, somebody's stopping by. I need a snack. Let's make a quick guacamole. Yeah.
Deb, in the Southwest, a very popular dish are Navajo tacos. And there's, instead of making a fried bread, which takes a lot of work, I just recently came across a recipe on Food TV, on Food Network, that the little gal took a can of fluffy biscuits
Mhm.
and rolled them out to like a 6-inch circle,
Okay.
and deep fat fry it for a couple of seconds. And then you make basically a very good taco filling type of thing. She added some beer to it. And then you just pile on your cheese and your lettuce and tomatoes, and it's delicious. And I'm going to make it this weekend. As a matter of fact, I'm having some Wayne's daughter and son-in-law in from El Paso, and I thought we'll try some Navajo fried bread the easy way.
That sounds really good.
Oh,
Really
there
good.
you,
And did you say in the taco mix, did you say add beer?
yeah. When you're cooking up the ground beef and all the seasonings in it, all the
Nice.
spices.
So instead of adding the water that they call for on the back of that seasoning packet, you put a little beer in it.
Yeah, but she mixes her own seasonings, which I think is, better anyway. But yeah, it was from Molly Ye on Food TV. If you're familiar with her.
Alberta, would you mind putting that in the chat so we have that
Okay.
for reference? That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
glad to. You
and-
want the whole recipe or just,
Well, I don't want to try.
well, you see, Yeah.
The other thing you can do is send that to my other email. And I wanted to talk to you about that anyway. I want to put that in the chat. Deb the guide. Whoops. Take me a second here. Deb the guide at getsetup.io. And in that, to that email address, anything like that, any kinds of recipes, and just to seed your ideas, if you don't have one like Alberta has here, you could submit your favorite. This is one that might be appropriate here for Mother's Day. Your favorite dish or recipe that Mom used to make. It would be great to hear from you on that. So that is an email address you can use to send me any kind of food ideas or recipes that you have, or if you would like to join me. Sometimes somebody in the group has a passion for a particular kind of food or a particular recipe, I would love to have you partner with me for a session on that. We can do it together and I can do the heavy lifting and you can just share what you're passionate about. So if you're interested in that, use that email as well. Yeah, thanks, Alberta. I look forward to seeing that. So do you know this? What do you think originated in a bar just over the border in Mexico when United States military wives wanted something to eat after all the restaurants were closed? What food? Not
Tacos?
really. What was it?
Tacos?
Close, but no. Some other kind of a snack that we associate with being a Mexican.
Oh, nachos?
Yeah, nachos.
Yep, nachos. So they're really not an authentic kind of Mexican food. They were US driven by these, out of necessity because all the restaurants were closed. So I thought that was an interesting little history on nachos, or little, what do you call it, pedigree or whatever it's called. Means little strips in Spanish. And these were originally eaten by Mexican cowboys in the United States. So again, not really a Mexican dish per se. Mostly using scraps of meat that were undesirable for anything else, basically. What could that be? Fine. Little strips.
Cocoa, something or another?
So one hint that I'll give you is that ITA means little. Ita means little. So what foods do we know that end with ita?
Was it fajitas?
Fajitas.
Okay.
Fajitas mean little strips. And interestingly enough, they are not authentic Mexican. They were born out of necessity because cowboys having a rough time out there on the range. Okay, chili con carne. Is this a classic Mexican dish? Yes or no?
No.
No. Where's it come from? Kind of a Tex-Mex thing, right?
Isn't it from Texas?
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of influences over the border, obviously. And in fact, that's worthy of celebration so much that we have Cinco de Mayo, which I learned recently and didn't know. Maybe you knew this, that Cinco de Mayo is not really a huge holiday in Mexico. It's more of a holiday in around the border areas, celebrated on both sides of the border. But yeah, it's a big deal, much bigger deal for us in the United States. At least that's what I've read and that's what others have told me. So I don't know if you talk to a person from Mexico, what they would say about that. Tacos de pescado originated in Baja, Mexico. What are they?
What, fish tacos?
They are fish tacos, and I'm going to make those today. So you'll get a look at a Baja inspired fish taco recipe. And here in this picture, what is authentic Mexican? What foods are authentic Mexican here?
My guess is rice.
Rice is authentic. Yeah, you're thinking, well, they're all authentic. That's a Mexican food plate. Wow. But some of those are not authentic, but the rice is. What else do you think? There's one other thing.
Beans.
Beans.
Yep, the rice and beans are authentic. This burrito with all of this melted cheddar cheese is not. Cheddar cheese is not something they use in Mexico. They use something called, anybody know what the cheese is in Mexico?
Queso?
Queso. It's a fresh cheese. And there's actually several kinds of cheeses in Mexico, most of which, or many of which, don't melt. So they're crumbled and sprinkled on things. So this melted cheddar. The other thing that's not really authentic to Mexico is the combination platter. You don't see these things like you do in the United States in Mexican restaurants. And now, what is this last word?
Oaxaca.
Here we go. We're getting our Spanish translation.
Cotija.
What kind of cheese?
please.
Katiha.
Katiha. And it is. And I wanted to get that out. I'll show it to you.
Katia.
My very full get set up refrigerator. Well, it's my refrigerator, but it's full of a lot of get set up food. So that's what it looks like. Comes in the refrigerated section. I noticed that Goya Products is starting to put refrigerated cases in my local grocery store. The queso fresco looks a lot like it. So we're getting a lot more in this part of the country. So this happens to be an aged cow cheese, and it's named after this region, the city in Mishawaka. I think I'm saying that somewhat correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, and now here's some more questions about what's authentic Mexican. Chimichangas are a classic Mexican dish served during the Day of the Dead holiday. True or false? For that, who said that chimichangas were their favorite food? They originated in Arizona, can you believe it? And there were two restaurants there that sort of fight over who came up with it first. Thought that was funny. Hard tacos are not authentic Mexican food. Those hard corn shells, are they authentic or no?
No.
No, she says tentatively. True, they are not authentic. So you were right. I just said that the other way. It's usually soft corn tortillas, and ground beef is not the typical stuffing or ingredient inside. It's usually steak or pork. And then which of these are not authentic Mexican food?
Taquitos.
Taquitos. That's right. They're rolled fried tacos. They were invented by a chef at Cielito Lindo in LA in 1934. So interesting that these things have become part of our vocabulary and association with Mexico when Mexicans would say, no say, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so here are some terms to know. What does mole mean? Anybody know what mole stands for? Anybody ever have mole?
Chocolate.
Yeah, it actually means sauce, but a lot of moles have chocolate in them. So that's an interesting thing. And when I went researching on that, I found that there are lots of different moles, but the one that I always knew had chocolate in it. And then this makes sense, doesn't it? Guacamole is literally avocado sauce. And carne, what does carne mean?
Meat.
Meat. How about camarón?
Seafood, shrimp.
The pork skin.
Shrimp. It's shrimp. And how about pollo?
Chicken.
Chicken. Queso, we know that one, right? Arroz.
Rice.
Rice. Frijoles.
Beans.
Yep. Cerveza.
Beer.
All the things you need to know for a fiesta. Where's the cerveza? Pico De Gallo.
Like a salsa.
Yeah, fresh salsa. Papas fritas.
French fries.
French fries. And agua.
Water.
Water. I knew that one.
Yeah, we need to have that agua, especially if we're drinking a lot of cerveza. We have to stay hydrated. Okay, so here's our Mexican themed dinner. We're going to start with beverages. We're going to start with a margarita because. So I did agua fresca the last time here in class, and I'll talk through that while I start to assemble my ingredients here for the margarita. The agua fresca, I need to get a lime. I ran out of limes. I thought I had enough, but I need one more. Well, over here they are. Okay. So, margarita. Let's just go right to the recipe. I like this one. It's very simple. How many of you make margaritas? Yeah, how do you make yours, Alberta?
I tend to take the easy way and use limeade and then some fresh lime juice with it.
Yeah, that sounds really good, actually. That sounds great. So do you put any of these? So this recipe calls for tequila. And I have a very good version. We don't drink it very often, but my stepson's in the business, so we got some really good tequila. And it calls for an orange liqueur, like Cointreau or Grand Marnier or Triple Sec. Grand Marnier is kind of a little bit of the Cadillac of the orange flavored liqueurs. Cointreau, Triple Sec, same thing, just a lower, not as costly. Do you use that in yours, Alberta?
I do. I like it.
Which one do you use?
Grand Marnier.
Grand Marnier. I love Grand Marnier. I don't have any, at least I don't have any in here right now. So what I know is that I can also substitute just orange juice if I don't want this to be as liquor intensive. So what I did was I squeezed a fresh, very delicious orange here, and I'll be adding that to my margarita instead. And one can also add some additional simple syrup also to taste if your drink is not as sweet enough, as sweet as you would like it. So what I'm going to do here is work with my little shaker. Just going to put that in a shaker. This calls for putting it into I'm looking for my individual. So my single one I'm putting in the shaker. That's all there is to it. And to this, I'm going to add, well, first I have my lime juice already measured out. So I'm going to put 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lime juice in here. And then this is a 2-ounce shot glass, by the way. Then to this, I'm going to add 1.5 ounces of the tequila. So that looks about right. Maybe a little on the lighter side, perfectly okay. I don't like my drinks all that strong. And then the ounce of Cointreau or orange juice. And I think I might add a little bit more. Add in there. Boy, that hardly seems like enough, does it? 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, and that's it. You can tell I'm more of a wine drinker. Do you like to drink wine, or do you like to drink hard liquor, or do you not drink? Anybody?
I don't drink.
Yeah.
So
And
if you have any
I don't
virgin
drink.
drinks, you have any virgin drinks, that would be interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do. The Agua Fresca, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I'll be shaking this.
Are you gonna fix the virgin drink today?
Well, I won't fix it today, but I'm going to walk you through it. It's really easy, and it's not really like a non-alcoholic drink that way, but it's an Agua Fresca, which is very good. And I can tell you what I learned from it from the last time that I did this class, what I learned. So share that in a minute. So to make this then, I'm just going to rub the rim with some lime here. And
Can we still request that recording for that day to get that video?
yeah, that, that's, sure you can. I think, well, now I'm not sure about that now that I think.
Oh, okay.
They go away by now. I think they, after a while, they expire, but I will go through that recipe. So wow, this doesn't even, this must need to go in a much smaller margarita glass. And then
Just add some more tequila to it.
I know, how about, I wonder, I think, well, you know what I would probably do if I had, if I was doing this just for myself, I'd probably do a frozen one. So cheers, I'm going to try it, see what I think. Okay, so as written, this, I would go with Alberta's limeade. I think it would be much better. I don't think this particular margarita recipe is one that I would necessarily share. So I might find another one and throw it up there for you to use after the class. First time I've made this one. So I'll have to doctor that one up. Okay. But let's look at the Agua Fresca, because this was, I thought really had a lot of potential. And what I did that day that we had the last class was I mixed strawberries and pineapple in a blender. The essence of an Agua Fresca is to blend fruit and water together. It's really not very, it's not very complicated. So we used 4 cups of fresh pineapple, 1.5 cups of fresh strawberries, and 2.5 cups of water. And then a little bit of agave if you found that it wasn't quite sweet enough. You can use a sugar replacement if you like. I use Better Than Sugar or something like allulose or stevia. And then the juice of a lime. And you blend it really well in the blender, and then you can drink it just the way it is. It will be foamy and thick. It'll have all of the fiber and things in there from the fruit. And that's the way that I made it in the class, because we were, in the interest of time, moving on. But what I did with the remainder of it was I put it through my little fine sieve, the rest of it, and I strained the pulp out of it. And I loved how that tasted. And I learned that I liked it just that way. And I could even add to it a little bit of sparkling water or club soda or something like that, just to give it a little bit of fizz. So you could really blend, using this recipe, any kind of combination of fruits that you like, and then strain it, put it over ice. You see something that looks more like that. And then you can garnish it really nicely with some fruits, put it in a nice tall icy glass, lots of ice cubes, and it just looks, like a nice, it's a mocktail then, and it becomes a really refreshing summer drink. So that's an Agua Fresca. What do you think about that as a replacement? I think it would be awesome with coconut flavors in there too. You like
Oh, yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
So yeah, you can experiment with all kinds. And the best thing about this is you're getting a lot of water with it too. So alcohol dehydrates us, water hydrates us. So that's a nice alternative. And you can put it in mason jars. Isn't that cute, with all sorts of garnishes on it? Really dress it up. Very Fiesta-like. So
when the watermelons are ripe, that'd be a good drink with watermelons.
That'd be really a great idea. Yeah, that's awesome. Watermelon. Maybe I'll look around and see if I can throw a watermelon Agua Fresca on the email as well, so you have a recipe for that. I think that's a really good idea. Okay, so we talked about guacamole. I'm going to come back to this, but right now I'm going to go right into the tacos de pescado, because that's what I prepared to make today, and I want to get those on the stove and moving along. And you can see that these are really pretty and colorful. They're nestled in a tortilla, which then has a leaf of romaine lettuce. And we have, this is a fried fish fillet. It's any kind of a white fish. And then Pico De Gallo. So what I'm going to do right now is fry my fish, because I have already gone through the process of dredging it in this flour, salt, pepper, and paprika mixture. So I have that ready to go right here. I only have the recipe because it's just my husband and I tonight for dinner. So I'm going to just fry that as soon as my oil heats up. I'm using coconut oil for this. And just to give you an idea, this is I just bought this, it was on sale. I'm not really a big Crisco fan, but they had an organic coconut oil and it was refined, which means that it doesn't have a real coconut flavor. And so I'm going to use that. And I just put enough in. It called for quite a bit of oil, but I try to do it with as little as I possibly can. I think this should be enough.
Are you going to change your screen?
Oh, hear me. Yes, thank you. Let's do that again. Take two. So here's what I'm using for the coconut oil. I didn't measure it. I just put in enough that I wanted to have a little layer of melted oil. And then this is the fish after I've dredged it in the flour, paprika, salt, pepper mixture.
What kind of fish is that? Is that the cod you were talking about?
That particular kind is cod, but you could use, as they did here, this is tilapia. They use tilapia. I'm not big on farm raised fish, and most of the tilapia that we get in this country is farm raised, which I don't particularly understand. There's places, I know I was just at a place in South Carolina. It was a preserve where all of the manatees are, and they're in Little Haven. And this area is polluted with tilapia, which are an invasive species. And I'm very surprised that they don't fish those out and sell them in restaurants. So we mostly get farm raised tilapia. So we're going to fry this just like that. We're going to lay it out on oil. And then in the meantime, we're going to make this Pico De Gallo. So I have already gone ahead and cut the tomatoes and the onions. Actually, I think I can just mix in this bowl. So I've cut the tomatoes. Now this calls for 2 to 3, either 3 plum tomatoes or 2 medium-sized tomatoes. And your let me get up here. This is what, you can't see this now, so let me show you. This is how they diced it. You can see the size of the dice. And what they did with those tomatoes was they cut them up, they seeded them all out and took the juices and just used the tomato walls, not the juicy part. So unfortunately, the tomatoes in this neck of the woods, probably most of the places, aren't really all that good right now. So I went with grape tomatoes. It's pretty hard to seed a grape tomato. There isn't anything left. So I did really just cut the grape tomatoes, and I see that they've gathered quite a bit of water. So one of the things I'm going to do there now is drain those, because I don't want all of that in my Pico De Gallo. I'm adding lime juice. That's going to be enough juice. So just want to get a little of that water off. And you could, if you wanted to, just if you were cutting these ahead of time, you could go ahead and let them sit for a while and drain. That would be good. So we've got those. And then to that, we're adding, they call for 6 sprigs of cilantro. Well, I chopped cilantro according to what I thought I might like in here. And I'm just going to sprinkle it in a bit after I add what I also think will be the appropriate amount of onions. They said 1/4 of a white onion. So it's not the most precise recipe. And I left it in here because I thought, that's really what this is all about. We don't need to be so precise about everything. This is all about getting ideas and then using what we like. And so what I say is I like a little bit of onion, and I'm going to put some in there. I'm going to eyeball that. I'm going to eyeball the cilantro. And then I did cut up 1 jalapeno pepper, and I'm putting that in there. And I hear my oil is popping. So I had that up a little high to move it forward. I'm going to let it cool down just a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is squeeze the juice of a lime over this. And again, I think in this recipe, it says 5 limes. I just noticed that when I reviewed it again today. It's not 5 limes. It's not 5 limes. It's the juice of 1 lime. So know that when you see the recipe. And what are we missing in here now? So we've added tomatoes, onions, jalapeno, and cilantro. What else would make this taste really good?
Salt and pepper.
Yes. Gotta have the salt and pepper. Absolutely. So I like using, oops, that's not, I use Himalayan salt for a lot of things. But for something like this, I really like using a little bit of Celtic sea salt because it'll dissolve. I'm going to let this sit at room temperature. Just gonna put a little bit in there. Sprinkle it. And grind a little pepper. Okay, I think I can put my fish in now. This fish is going to cook for about 3 or so minutes on each side. It's a little thicker than the tilapia that they show, so it might take a little bit longer. And have you found, you make things with tortillas, and did you find a tortilla that you like? A type of tortilla, like a soft tortilla that you like? I'm curious. I don't eat a whole lot of tortillas, and some of them I think taste pretty bad, so I tend to avoid them. Have you found anything you like? Anyone? No? Are they just all
No
bad?
particular one, I usually look at how many carbs is in it.
Yes, I hear you. Well, what I'm trying today is this one. This is a quinoa. I never tried it before, so I'm going to let you know what I think, but it's a quinoa flour that's made with avocado oil. It's, of course, gluten-free, and it has 23 carbs, 0 sugars. So that, since we were doing Spotlight on Quinoa on Monday, I was inspired to try a quinoa tortilla. And let me see if that is the, you know what the #1 ingredient is though? I didn't look at this closely enough. I just grabbed it. I was caught by the name, because what would you think would be the #1 ingredient in this?
Quinoa.
Quinoa. That's what it is. Tapioca starch. Quinoa.
Tapioca flour?
Tapioca starch, then water, then potato starch, then quinoa flour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got sold.
Gotta have
False
something to hold it
advertising.
together, I guess.
I guess you're right. So I'm going to give this a taste and see how it is. Now, again, this would probably be a little smaller if I would have cut that tomato. Yeah, and you might like a little, you might taste it, you might decide you want a little bit more lime, but not 5. So that's very tasty. My fish is doing nicely over here. I can hear it sizzling. And while we're letting that get finished, I'm going to share my screen again and go back to the guacamole recipe. So I want to see how this guacamole recipe compares to those that you have made. So we're starting with 2 ripe avocados. How do we know when an avocado is ripe? How do you pick the perfect avocado?
Well, I press at the top, at the short end of it, or I'll take that little tip off to see how green it is and put it back in.
Okay, so when that little tip is ready to come off.
Yeah.
When the avocado is getting browner, maybe a little soft on the ends or even on the sides if it's starting to have a little give to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody freeze avocados?
I've bought them frozen, but I've never done it myself.
Yeah. Who told us about freezing avocados?
Mm.
Somebody in one of these classes. Alberta, was that you? That was somebody else, maybe. Well, at any rate, I've done it now. So I've frozen it in pieces and I've frozen it in the whole avocado shell. And providing you use it when you get it out of the freezer and it's just soft and you use it then, it's really good. I found that if I left it in the refrigerator a day or so, then it got a little mushier. So yeah, it was good that way. It's a good way to save avocados. So what I'll do with avocados is buy them, unless I need them that day, I'll try to buy some and plan ahead. And I wait till they get a little bit of give on them so that they're ripe. I could use them that day or just about. And then I'll move them to the refrigerator and let them in the refrigerator because they'll stay at that ripeness stage for a while. So if you leave them on your counter, they're going to get ripe really fast after they start. Is that what the rest of you do, or do you do something else?
That's what I do.
Okay, who said that?
That's what I do too.
Okay, well, we're on the same page with that then. So we're using 2 ripe avocados. I like to use the kosher salt in this again. Or not the kosher, the Celtic sea salt in my guacamole. Some red onion or thinly sliced green onion. I prefer to use my sweet onion. I just have a preference for that. And I use anywhere, this says 2 tablespoons to 1/4 cup. It's another one of those things, you kind of eyeball it, right? And it always changes a little bit. And again, the 1 to 2 chilies, it depends on who I'm serving this to. Sometimes people like it hotter or less so. The 2 tablespoons of cilantro is a good place to start, I think, because cilantro can overwhelm it. Would you agree with that? That you can sometimes get too much cilantro in there?
I use dried cilantro because I don't make it that often. So if I buy a bunch, it's just going to go bad.
Yeah.
And then I also use jarred jalapenos, diced, because I don't need all that. I don't even need a whole one. I just need a little bit. So
yeah,
that's how I make it.
Okay, those are good choices because then you have those in the refrigerator anytime you need them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I don't know, I've never used a jarred jalapeno, but I imagine it has the texture of what my frozen ones are.
Probably.
You don't get the crunch that you do with a fresh one. And there is some appeal to that. That's kind of nice, as is there's some appeal to having the fresh cilantro. I've been unsuccessful with using dried cilantro in very many cases. I don't feel like for me that it holds the flavor, but I might not have gotten the right brand either. Anybody else?
It's always tastes fresher if you have the fresh.
Yeah, sure. But in a pinch, it works, right? When you're making your cilantro or making your dish. And now you can, if you learn some different soup recipes, you can use your fresh cilantro in some of those soup recipes too. So maybe buy that bunch of fresh cilantro and then plan another recipe to use the rest of it. Like the Pico De Gallo. See, have a Mexican fiesta, it will use your whole bunch of cilantro.
Have you ever frozen that cilantro?
I don't have any success. It just gets soggy.
Oh, okay.
The only way to really do it is maybe to try to do it in olive oil, but then you still lose. You don't really use that in the guacamole, so it's not really ideal. So my fish is doing really well here, but here, this is essentially the recipe. So you smash the avocado and then add the lime or lemon juice in and the salt and just keep mixing it together. Add the onions, add the chilies, add the cilantro. And then before you're ready to serve it, if you want to serve it with tomatoes, you can fold the tomatoes in then. Don't put that in the beginning because they will get watery and they just don't taste as good as when they're added fresh. I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't even stir tomatoes in with my guacamole, usually because I have tomatoes in other things, so I don't really don't really need it. Or I'm serving salsa along with my guacamole, so that's enough tomato. Okay, so back here. Stop my share. So I'm going to use this romaine lettuce that I have to be on the inside of my tortilla. And I'm going to microwave just for a little bit this tortilla. I have it in there with a wet paper towel to make it hopefully a little more pliable. I don't have a lot of hope for this tortilla. I think I'd rather have a flour tortilla, but we will see. Okay, so kind of a blank slate there. And now I'll take the tip of that lettuce off. And the idea here is to just layer it. Looking at my recipe here a little bit. Make sure I don't miss anything. And of course, you can serve these with avocado. You can even put avocado on the inside of these fish tacos if you want to, or just serve it on the side. But the way we're serving this is just with the fish and the Pico De Gallo over top, and then held together, just folded up like in half. And I bought some of this Mexican crema because that is what is typically or can often be served as an accompaniment to these fish tacos. And I wanted to try it. You can make your own. And I think with what I'm sending you, you'll get a recipe if you want to make your own. This is along the lines of, it's very, can you see this? It's really kind of thin. If you are thinking about it in consistency terms of sour cream, it's much thinner than sour cream, but it's thicker than a heavy cream. So I'm going to taste it here. But, oh my gosh. This is just cream. So, crema Mexican, this was just cream.
Is there any cheese in that, or is it just kind of a liquidy?
It's just cream. This is just like heavy cream. That's exactly how.
Wow.
So, crema Mexicana. And that is what, I just want to make sure that's what this said it was. So serve it with sour cream or Mexican cream or crema, is what this is, and a dash of your favorite Mexican hot sauce. So the fish should be finished now. And I'm going to get that out and just let it on the paper towel for a minute. Incidentally, that was there's what the oil is left in the pan. So pretty much all of it, and I probably wouldn't have needed as much as I could have. So you go kind of sparingly, which is what I normally do, but I didn't want to get caught with not enough oil in my fish burning on camera. Like my meringue, right? Right, Alberta? I walked away from my meringue at the wrong moment this morning.
Uh-oh.
It was fun. So this is, I'm going to cut this in half a little bit and move it down into the taco a bit. Might have to position it a little. So got it like that. And now I'm just going to put some Pico De Gallo on it. Yeah, interestingly, it doesn't call for any kind of cheese. You know how we are. We're just very, in this country, very accustomed to putting cheese on our tacos and everything else. And I'm going to try a little bit of this crema on here, because why not? One in Mexico. Looks pretty.
Nice.
So, do you mind?
No, I want to bite.
I know, yeah, it looks good.
My husband's going to like these. I refer to my husband all the time and I tell him that I talk about him. He said, I feel like Fang. Anybody remember Phyllis Diller and her husband that you
Yes.
never saw? And his name is Fang. So he feels like Fang. Let me try another bite now with a little salt on. That's very good. And you know what? The other flavors make that tortilla a non-issue.
Oh,
Doesn't taste like much of anything. So it's fine. It's just a carrier for the taco. So you can squeeze a little more lime juice over this whole thing if you want to spark it up even more. I think that's pretty good. I like it. I don't get fish tacos. I get them at restaurants a lot. Have you ever get them at restaurants?
I had some in North Carolina and they were delicious. But
Yeah.
I have not had some since. I live in Ohio. I haven't had any since that I was crazy about.
You know, that's been my experience too. Anybody else have that experience where they're less than notable? Yeah,
Yeah.
so kind of good to try like your own. Yeah.
I like kind of a cabbage slot,
Yes, me
Mexican
too.
cabbage mixture on top of them. And but
Yeah.
I too, I'm still kind of working on just the right combination, and I haven't come across that yet. So got to keep working on it.
Yeah, and I wonder I saw a recipe for the cabbage as well. And I was trying to keep it, since I gave you all of those inauthentic things, I was trying to get as close to the ones that were made in Baja, California. So I stuck with this recipe, but I saw the ones with the slaw and I wondered about that. And I wonder if even a combination.
I think so. I think
think-
you kind of marinate the cabbage a little bit, make it ahead of time.
Mhm.
So it has time just for the flavors to meld, and I think that'd make it better.
That was the thing that I remember about those tacos in North Carolina. They had that slaw and it was so good.
Right.
Alberta, what is that marinated in?
I think just a lime juice and oil and, just your seasonings, the cilantro, of course, and onions and.
Oh, I'd be tempted to try that all together because
Right.
the crunch from the cabbage, I think, is really a part
Would
of
be
it.
really good. Yeah.
I agree. Okay. Well, so here we are. That's going to share one last time here. We're getting to the top or bottom of the hour, as the case may be here. And so we'll just wrap her up here. I had a couple of other recipes I'll send along to you. If you've never had it, Mexican street corn is very good. You can make it on your grill with the seasonings that are included in the recipe. And this is served with that cheese we talked about. So that's a very, very much of a street food, very popular in Mexico. I know when I stayed there for a few months, I saw this all over the place. And then this is a recipe for, what would this be? Helado frito.
Fried ice cream.
Fried ice cream.
Fried ice cream. Anybody remember Chi-Chi's?
Definitely.
So Chi-Chi's did a fried ice cream, and I remember just loving that and also thinking, well, that's so unhealthy. And I was looking around for a look-alike or a different, and I remember making these years ago. So this is a recipe for a fried ice cream that is not fried. It uses a cereal coating with some cinnamon, and you roll the ice cream in it, and it's delicious. So you might be interested in trying that. It is easy to make. You can put it back in the freezer. And then if you want to serve that for your fiesta, you just get it out and put it on a plate and decorate it with a little whipped cream around the sides and a little bit on top with a cherry. It looks beautiful and people will think you spent a long time on it. So nice recipe and reminds you of Chi-Chi's. Okay. So there you have it, your Mexican fiesta. What do you think you might try?
I'd like
I'm
to
gonna
try
try
that
the
ice cream.
tacos.
The
Yeah,
tacos?
the fish tacos for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you need some improvements on that, I'd love to see pictures or get ideas for improving the recipe. That'd be great. We can share that.
Deb,
Yeah.
Deb, I was in and out. This is Grisha. I was in and out because I have a sick little doggy, but and I didn't want to say anything. However, I live in New Mexico, and every street corner, there's everything that you prepare today.
Huh.
So I got a kick out of it because I've been here 40 years and I never tire of the Mexican cuisine. But I want to ask you, if anybody, do you have any idea what a real popular Mexican dessert, they serve this all the time here in most of the restaurants. Now, not dulce de leche, not that, and not flan. It's maybe a word you never heard of, Deb. Sopapillas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they are delicious, and there are restaurants that have them filled with vegetables and meats and things like that. I just like them, and they're served with honey. So you may want to look that up, not to ever prepare it, Deb, for this class, because everybody always says, well, I'll take a sopapilla with honey for dessert.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
You
It's
know,
very-
if you just find a good flour tortilla, you could just quickly fry that and use the honey and things on it. Now, we here I live in Grand Junction, Colorado, and there's a little store that makes tortillas and tamales and such for a lot of the restaurants in town. So I just go and get their tortillas, which they sell retail, and they're excellent. But you need a good tortilla to start with. But it makes a quick sopapilla. It would do in a flash.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's really good. Deb, the sopapillas here are deep fried.
Okay. All right. Good to know. I bet you're not eating those, Grisha.
And when I'm out, I always say, don't bring me the soap. They like to always bring it with the rest of the dinner. I always say, wait till I'm totally finished and then bring me a nice, hot, well done sopapilla.
Okay. So splurge on the sopapilla. Okay. Yeah. That sounds delicious. I'll look up a recipe.
It is. They are delicious if they're made right.
Yeah. Well, we love our Mexican food, and we all need to have a Mexican fiesta now and dress up our tables and just have some fun here for Cinco de Mayo. So get inspired and surprise your family or your friends or whoever it is that you can hang out with these days.
Deb, I'll send you a recipe for a quick dessert, or not quick, but an easy dessert in that Mexican line. I'm trying to think of what they even called it. I'm just looking to think. Anyway, I'm sorry, but I'll send that along when I find it.
That's great. I love it.
Enjoy. It's yummy.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. I'm having Let's Talk Cooking tomorrow, also in the afternoon. So if you want to come by and talk more, we could talk more Mexican if you want and share more recipes. That would be fine. And I'm also having the Kentucky Derby party on Friday. So I'll just, for those of you who haven't seen it, I need you to be inspired. Sorry, I keep going out of the picture, but wear your hat. Okay? Wear your
Lovely.
derby hat. Come to the party Friday.
Wow.
The last class, quite a few people who came to it wore their hat, and we had a lot of fun. So anyway, great having you all. Thanks for coming.
It was
and
fun.
Next
Another
time.
great class, Deb.
Next time.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.